Hi there, Leo. Thank you so much for tuning in. Leo, this is your mid-February reading. I'm smiling because I was meditating on your sign before I turned on the camera. And I felt passion, love. Ace of Swords in reverse. I felt desire. It's almost like being excited about something again for the first time in a long time. That's kind of the feeling that I got. I'm getting this feeling of emptying your bucket, your emotional bucket. It's almost like you've been carrying a bucket up a mountain or a hill for a long time. And I feel like you finally got to the top of that mountain. And it's like all of these, wow, that was interesting how that popped out. Oh yes, Leo, okay. Four of Cups. And it popped out sideways. Okay, which is interesting. Oh my goodness, Leo! You pulled the Ace of Cups, you pulled the Nine of Wands, you pulled the Seven of Cups. Wow. We'll get to it. But definitely, emotional renewal. It's like taking the first breath for a long time. Here's the thing, right, Leo? I feel like there's been an immense repression of your truth, of your voice, right? This Ace of Swords is right beneath this Ace of Cups. It's right behind it, like this, the way that they popped out. And it's in reverse. So I'm sensing that, and I'll want to get to the rest of the spread, but there has been absolutely a desire for emotional renewal. But it's almost like the first stand, the final word, the final decision, right? That alliance that we have and that we make with our logical, intellectual mind, our rational mind, and our emotions, our emotional being, right? It's the alliance between those two parts of ourselves that this spread here is speaking to. I'm feeling it strongly. Very strongly. And you know, Leo, it's like I'm feeling like you're approaching this moment of just absolute, right? Release and renewal and even confession. I'm feeling this is sort of even like a confession that's being made in some shape or form. Absolutely. And there needs to be a great clarity, right? A great clarity intellectually on how you are going to communicate this. And what's impending is the Four of Cups. All of this repressed, this bucket of repressed emotions, right? That is waiting to be emptied at the top of that mountain. It's like you've been carrying these emotions, like and it's like I felt like you couldn't complain about it either. I felt like it was as if you had like signed up for something, like almost like a program, or you volunteered for something. That's the feeling I'm getting. It's like it was a decision, right? You signed on the dotted line, right? Willingly. And once you were halfway in, you were like, this is not the kind of terrain that I was expecting. And this bucket is getting heavy, and there's no river, right, by which I can empty the accumulation of everything that's being repressed. That's the feeling I'm getting metaphorically, if it makes sense, Leo. Nonetheless, it's like you were put into a situation where you're like, this is not what I was expecting. And I can't just like, I'm so far into the situation, I'm like halfway up the mountain that I can't descend, right? And I also, right, it's like, there's no turning back. I have to complete what I started. And so I feel that you're like finishing. You're either, this is gonna be different for a few of you, you're either finishing it mid-February to end February. You like got to the top of that mountain, you just drop this bucket on the floor, and you're like, great, so glad that we could do this, guys. Sayonara, like that's the feeling I'm getting. I'm getting that feeling. And it's that Sandra Bullock in the Proposal movie sort of vibe, right? The just clearing everything off of the desk. Just clearing it all off the desk, shredding those papers. Done, done, done. It's that semester's over vibe. Can throw away all my papers and discard or get rid of these books, right? That are just so heavy lying around my room. Clutter, clutter. Stagnant energy. So I'm feeling, right, there's absolutely, and it's like this, look, 9 of Wands, sandwiched in between Ace of Cups and the 7 of Cups. Cups, right? Emotional burden by way of the actions that you have to take. Look, this is kind of like a mountain, right? It's kind of like trudging up this mountain where it's like, you don't even know. It's like, am I halfway up the mountain? How much are we there yet? It's like that kind of feeling that I'm feeling you've been involved in, okay? So, and you were like, just trudging, not knowing. You knew you were getting somewhere eventually. But it was like a question of when exactly are we arriving? And what is that, what is that view going to look like? What is that place going to look like? And what is the next step? Once I do complete what it is I need to complete, this could be contractual, right? Being locked into a situation that it's like, I just gotta close the cycle out before I can sayonara, right? That's really what I'm feeling here. And so whatever the situation was, right, where it's like it consumed you day in and day out, in monotony, right? This is a fire card. This is fire energy, which usually is dynamic. But the way that these wands are laid about are so strategic, very strategically placed, almost like they needed to be applied to a structure of some sort that was already in place. So it's like you felt like you couldn't really express and make use of your fire energy in a very independent way, in a very truly creative way. It was like, I feel like I'm just here, just acting, right? I'm just performing, I'm operating. I'm not actually creating something that is dynamic, right? It's like you knew you were on this escalator, right? So in that period of time, within that situation, you felt emotionally like you knew that you didn't find this situation to be emotionally pleasing. You knew in your gut that this didn't appeal to your emotions. It didn't satisfy you deeply. But it's almost as if, right, we've already have so much invested in the situation. Again, it could be contractual. That we are required to remain within it, right? But you could be wondering, right? Once I get to the top of this mountain, once I reach that point, right, where there is greater clarity in some shape or form, how will I handle it? How will I choose to move forward? Right? What's the next step that will emotionally satisfy me? And so it could be that contemplative stage, right? Which is separate from this unplugging of repressed emotions. I'm feeling this is like the next stage. How are you going to proceed, right? You have two moons here. They're mirroring each other. Two moons. I'm feeling that once you reach this moon, I'm on a Mac, so everything is backwards. Once you reach this moon, it's sort of like, all right, okay. Now, looking up at the sky on this mountaintop, interesting, right? So interesting, Leo. Once I reach this and I'm on the mountaintop, how do I, right, looking up into the sky, into the heavens, seeking that answer, right, that clear answer, of what is going to emotionally satisfy me. I feel that once you reach the top of this mountain, you know that you're going to be able to breathe a little lighter and actually think about this. Then you'll be actually given the chance, the time, the intellectual space, right, to even think about this. But as of yet, I feel you don't exactly know, perhaps, right? It's like this comes after the completion of this. You don't know exactly what lies beyond the mountain and how you're going to feel at that point and what you want to do and how you want to move forward. But whatever you do, it's going to emotionally renew you. Whatever you do, right? And so it's in this state that we feel like, I know I feel something. I know I have to decide on how I emotionally stand in a situation. I'm trying to decipher what will bring me this. I'm trying to decipher what is going to emotionally satisfy me. But it's that decision that we're seeing is in reverse, right? That is the next step sort of energy is where I feel you're going to be focusing on in this period of time, okay? Mid-March to the end of March. Of course, energy is fluid, so there's no sort of cutoff date. It can go a little before and after that time, but nonetheless, right? It's the decision that is impending on how you want to shape whatever this new journey is, whatever this next step is that's very new, that's very enchanting, that's very exciting, okay, that's very passionate even, right? That's much more gratifying than whatever this mountain has been that you have been strapped down to and locked on, right? It's like kind of like this. It's like you know when you're at the mall or someplace where there's an escalator, like in a store, and you're like, I want to go on the second floor because I want to go check out those shoes and I want to whatever, right? So you're like looking around for the escalator entrance and you see a sign, but it's kind of confusing. You don't see that on the other side of the escalator, there's another path, right, going down in the opposite direction. That's kind of confusing. And it's kind of confusing altogether, which is why I'm feeling maybe, right? Maybe when you made this decision of getting into this situation, something was not fully clear. Something was not fully clear about this situation. You weren't expecting this. You were not you're like, I didn't sign up for this. That's what I'm feeling. Okay, whatever the situation is. But nonetheless, right? Nonetheless, Leo, I'm sensing that it's kind of like, okay, for whatever reason, you felt compelled to get onto this escalator. You're like, okay, I guess this is the right way, right? It's kind of confusing, yeah. But I'm gonna get on because it seems like this is the best path for me. Nonetheless, you get on and you're like ascending, and you look over and you see that's the level I'm supposed to be moving towards, not this level. I just saw the shoe department but I'm still in the escalator. I can't get off. I can't like jump off of the escalator. I have to keep going before I can take the other escalator down, right? To the level that I'm supposed to be at. So this is like that escalator that you've been feeling. I just need to fulfill my duties, right? I signed up for this. And Leo is a very steadfast sort of sign when it comes to what they feel responsible for, what they feel indebted to in some sort of way, what they care for deeply, what they feel they need to somehow help sustain, right? It's the strength card, right, in the major arcana. So it's almost like the savior sort of energy, right? And maybe it was this kind of situation needed your help, needed you to lay these wands, right? Again, it's sort of like that feeling of like volunteer. But it could be different for all of you, right? Career, volunteer work, whatever it may be, whatever situation. Even relationship for some of you, all right? But nonetheless, it's sort of like you bit your tongue and you didn't complain about it. But internally, there was a broiling, actually, of emotions, right? And so we're seeing that as you move into the future, you're like, I'm getting out of here, and I'm setting, hey, yeah, I was carrying this bucket up this whole mountain for I don't know how long, but that's not the point. The point is, where should I put this thing? Where should I set this down? That's how I'm feeling. It's like it's like exploited work. I'm feeling that, Leo. I'm feeling like it's exploited work, okay, in some shape or form. It's like that volunteer or that intern. Been there, done that. I know how that goes, right? The intern who's just taken kind of advantage of, right? Overtime, and yes, Leo. 5 of Pentacles, showing up sideways, horizontal. Look at these two cards. They are mirroring each other on either side of the spread. And they're both like moving out. They're ready to move out. Absolutely emotional dissatisfaction as associated with your career or your finances or whatever it is that you've been involved in, Leo. Nonetheless, I was saying, right, it's sort of like that intern or that volunteer who signed up for something and they just end up doing so much more than what they had expected. And it's like at the end, yeah, a bunch of cards just flew out. Let's take a look at them. 2 of Cups. Chariot. 8 of Wands in reverse. The Moon. And the 7 of Swords. All right. I think we're not doing the Celtic cross. The deck tends to do this sometimes, right? It has its own ways and its own language, so we will follow it forward here. All right, but nonetheless, right, it's like that intern, that volunteer who, at the end of it, right, they're like, oh, well, I don't want to complain about this. But then once the shift is over and they can finally go home, they're holding all these things in their hands. They're like, where do I put this stuff so I can leave, right? It's like that. Okay, and I'm feeling that it was a situation that just put so much pressure on you, and it didn't allow you to fully express yourself, Leo, right? Now look. Okay, interesting. The Moon flips over onto the Ace of Cups, which is in this triangular sort of energy energetic configuration with the Ace of Swords and the 5 of Pentacles. Interesting. We will heed that. But nonetheless, I'm going to look at these 4 cards together. Going from a 7 to an 8, 7 of Swords, 8 of Wands, to the Chariot, and the 2 of Cups. Ooh, Leo, you are, let's just say it. You are pursuing what emotionally satisfies you. You're going after it. There are no questions. Whether this is love, whether this is a partnership, whether this is a venture that emotionally speaks to you and your truth, whether this is just getting out of this situation that doesn't emotionally satisfy you, right? And taking that needed downtime to just enjoy the moment, the peace of the moment, perhaps with a loved one, right? Even. But nonetheless, Leo, I'm sensing that the obliteration of this energy is going to lead you to the ability to tap more into this kind of space, okay, of being able to really enjoy the moment and bask in the emotions, right? In that very more sensitive, vulnerable space that we share with ourselves and also with others, right? This is like the workaholic sort of energy. Workaholic energy. But once we're done with that, and this is interesting, the stone that's sitting right above this card is my rose quartz crystal, speaking to, this is Libra's stone, speaking to compassion, love, harmony, balance, diplomacy with ourselves first and foremost, and then with others, right? So it's almost like you feel like, oh, once I'm done with this, then I will have the breathing room to be able to tap into this sort of energy, and thus this new beginning. Oh my gosh, so exciting, Leo. I'm so happy for you guys. Oh, because I know Leo has been dealing with this, right? Dealing with this just drawn out process of emotional dissatisfaction and absolutely over workload, right? There's been a lack of balance of your elements. So now that energy is alleviating and it's leaving room for this. Okay, it's leaving room for you to even offer this to someone else so that you guys can share this next stage in your journey together. Right? Beautiful. And it can also speak to passion, right? Chariot, going after what you want. I mean, this is like, doesn't get any more independent, any more ardent than that. And it may make you feel young again. It's like, there's an air to this card. There's absolutely an air to this card that we feel, right? It's like that stallion invigorated by love again, right? It's like that the children aren't home feeling. Keeping it as PG-13 as I can here, but I am feeling the heat. All right, guys? I'm feeling the heat. I was feeling it before I started your reading too, but nonetheless, this can be a very passionate energy, okay? And again, right? It doesn't have to be passionate about someone. It could be passionate about this next stage in our lives that we're so excited about, right? The reacquainting of ourselves with ourselves, right? Striking greater internal balance of all of our elements, the elements of our being, rather, right? Nonetheless, you have these other two cards coming in right before this sort of this charge forward takes place. And so I'm reading it as chronologically in time. The Seven of Swords is sort of the deep past leading to the Eight of Wands in reverse. Here's what I'm feeling. Okay. Interesting, Leo. It's an 8 here, right, of Wands. And it's right beneath, it's leading right up to the 9 of Wands. Interesting. So, I'm sensing that in your past, okay? And through this whole process, you have been feeling at odds with your environment, feeling like the odd one out. Oh, I don't belong here. What am I doing here? Like, this is like showing up at a party that you feel really awkward at. That's kind of like the feeling I got with this, okay? Standing by that bowl of fruit punch in the corner of the room. But you're not really saying it, right? You're not actively, publicly proclaiming this feeling of discretion, right? you're not, or you weren't, as you were dealing with the situation, right? You weren't complaining. You weren't like, you're playing along with it. Okay, you're playing your cards, proceeding. You don't leave the party. Again, you can't descend off the mountain, right? It's that same sort of theme. So, not speaking the full truth about how you feel about the situation and feeling at odds within your environment, which again, we're seeing is renewed with the Ace of Swords. Soon to be renewed, I'm feeling. Again, in the process of figuring out emotionally first emotionally, what is going to satisfy me. And so I'm actually really liking this energy for you, Leo, because I'm sensing that there is now a balance and a coming together and an opening of yourself to making decisions, right? In just as much of a light that regards your emotions than your intellect. Right? So it's like you're making a decision jointly, using the two halves of your being, right? You're like, whatever decision this is that I make, I want it to emotionally satisfy me, right? Because this is going to be a big next step in my journey, right? So nonetheless, right, we were saying in the past or during the situation here, not speaking out fully about our truth, right? How we really feel about the situation. And that's moving into the Eight of Wands in reverse, which is right beneath this Nine of Wands. So let me tune in here and take a sip of my tea. Oh, also interesting. You're going from a 7 to an 8 and then up to a 9. Wow. Oh, the Chariot is a number 7. 2 sevens sandwiching this 8. Very interesting. And another 7 on top of the Chariot. So 7771 is the ace and 9 is the pinnacle. So, but in a way, we said this was also the pinnacle. This is the real apex. This is the real sort of view from the top of the mountain that you are ascending to reach. So let me tune in here. 1 second. There's a lot going on. Leo. You have been waiting to shake the situation up. You've been waiting you have wanted to, like, you've had frustration. You have had frustration, Leo. Why? The 8 is like the foundation of the 9. Okay. And it's almost like, yeah, I'm gonna keep on plugging away, right? Laying down these wands as I'm told to, perhaps, or expected to. I'm gonna play the part. I'm not satisfied, but I'm gonna keep doing it. But deep inside, Leo, you have desired this change. You have not been able to wait to get to the mountaintop, to get to this point where there's respiration and air. And it's almost like you have wanted to just leave the situation behind altogether without ascending, perhaps, but you didn't. But you waited. And I feel that you were like, I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna hold my peace, right? Until I can make this shakeup, but in such a way that doesn't send the whole mountain falling down. And that's what I'm feeling, right? Holding the bucket, climbing up the mountain. It's like you felt like you had a responsibility. People were counting on you. You had to finish it out. You had to close it out. You couldn't just leave. You couldn't just abandon the situation, right? So the 8 of Wands is in reverse. It's like, all right, I'm not going to just like be an asshole, pardon my French, right? And just remove myself from the situation so this falls down, right? You weren't going to do that. So this, right, is what you're looking forward towards as you, I feel, responsibly close the situation out. Yes, it's going to be a shakeup. It's going to be a shakeup, and maybe it won't cycle out exactly how you expect. It may not. There may be some sort of surprise, but I'm feeling that it's not gonna. Okay, let me say it like this. Leo. There's a lot of energy, okay? But I'm feeling that, like, halfway into the situation, you were very clear on how you felt about it. You were like, oh, not feeling it. I really want to do this, but I can't do this. I have to keep doing this. But I know that once I get to the top, this is what I can focus on then. So I can get out of here and charge forward, right? All of the sevens are talking to each other. The energy of these 3 sevens are communicating. And it's like saying, it's like, I wish you could see it visually. This is the past. This is the future. And this is the apex. They're all sevens, okay? And in between, it's like 8, 9, right? You can't take down the foundation. You have to hold this foundation, and even if you want to do away with it, right? And complete this so that you can get to the apex of this. If that makes sense. It's very puzzle-like energy. And I feel like that's what you've been feeling. You're like, I just got to do this, and then I can get to that, and then I can get to that, so I can get to that. Okay, and you've been riding on faith. You've been riding on faith, even if, right? It hasn't been announced clearly where this is leading you to. All you know is I have had to maintain my position in the situation so I can close it out cleanly, right? You don't want to create chaos and destruction. That's what I'm feeling. All right. Beautiful. Leo. Oh, the moon, right? The moon. Okay, we said popped out. I will say this about this card here. There is a period of needing to wait for this to cycle out and to complete before you can decide and make a final decision on what path you want to take. Right? The moon it speaks to needing to wait, needing to pass through the night, right? With the faith of our intuition, looking up at the moon, that faint moonlight that guides us through periods of darkness, periods where, right, we know we have to just keep going in some way, that we have to pass the time, and that we will eventually be led to higher ground in some way and to greater clarity. But ultimately, right, where we're being led is not clear to us yet. Okay, there's a feeling of needing to complete the cycle. Okay, complete the cycle, and until you do, right? Until you complete the cycle, you're going to need to remain in this kind of energy of anticipation, right, of the day. Anticipation of the Ace of Cups, of the Ace of Swords being turned right side up. All right. So I'm feeling that this is a great time, Leo, for you to tap into your intuition. A great time to tap into your intuition. Meditate, right? It's like take this time to really think about and prepare and think about the options, right, that you have at your disposal once you are done with this. All right, so the more you connect with your intuition, Leo, I'm feeling that it's going to allow this transition and this stage to cycle out more smoothly. All right, in a way where you feel aligned with yourself and your path forward and your faith in the process, your faith in the universe, knowing that it is guiding you to ultimately, bliss, satisfaction, harmony, and greater clarity about what will bring you that. All right? So thank you so much, Leo. This seems like such an exciting journey, such a milestone, truly a milestone. I'm feeling the passion for you guys yet again. So enjoy mid-March and the end of March, and I will be back soon with your first quarter moon reading. This is so exciting. Time is flying. All right. Definitely check out your rising, ascendant, or moon sign, as oftentimes those can provide you with further insights. I know that I resonate a lot with my moon, so it doesn't hurt to check it out, right? If you know your birth time, you do need your exact birth time, even down to the minute, as that can change around your signs a bit, especially that of your moon, or rather your ascendant. It can also change your moon, though. Nonetheless, if you don't have your signs and you want to figure them out, you can click the link below in the description box that I provide, and that will compute your signs for you. Let's see what else. Any other announcements? Yes. A few of you have been asking if I do personal readings, and I do. I have that service on my website, alchemyandyou.com. There are a few options there. There's one that's live, and there's one that is pre-recorded. So it's up to your choosing. You can select either one that you wish. And I also have another service. It's called Finding Your Soul's Gold. And that's so exciting. I love that service because it provides a foundation, right, for which we can assess the energies that are manifesting in a certain period of time. And what it really is assessing the energetic sort of blueprint of your being by way of looking at your birth chart. And so we see, the planetary alignments, how the planets are interacting with each other, what houses they're occupying, right? Every house relates to a certain area of life, right? And depending on what sign the planets are in, that will also color the way that these energies are expressing themselves in your personal chart. So everyone's chart is very unique, very independent. There's so much more that goes into our energetic composition than just our sun. So if that's of interest for you, you can click the link below in the description box. I have the links actually for all of those products and or services rather, and you can check it out that way. All right, so I hope that's helpful for you guys, and I think that's it. All right, enjoy mid-March. It's so exciting. Remember, Leo, right? Really align with yourself and your intuition. I think that's going to be of utmost encouragement for you as you move through this cycle. Okay? Thank you so much. Bye.